It looks like things are starting to really ramp up here in Raid when it comes to the Echoes of Oz event. We've had yet another kit reveal coming up for a future Mixed Fusion event. Let's talk about it, baby. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of the tribe, to another Raid Shadow Legends video with me, your bald boy Scribe. How the devil are we all doing? Before we begin, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to Raid or thinking about starting up a brand new account, I have literally got the best starting codes for you guys to get started with just by scanning my QR code or using the link in the description down below. First of all, make sure you sign out of your Plarium Play account. Use my QR code or click the link in the description and sign up with a brand new email account. Once you've played through the tutorial of Raid, brand new players will be treated to Steltus the Dragonbane, a legendary defensive unit that will be available in your account as soon as you have done beating that prologue on brand new accounts, ladies and gentlemen. This guy is an absolute dope defensive unit, very, very useful, and it's going to pair so well with a bunch of the other champions that you're going to be getting as you level up in this new account. After that, when you hit level 10 on your account, you are going to be unlocking the Stag Knight. Stag Knight is a really useful key unit that will benefit you in many game modes, such as, all of the dungeons, basically, clan boss, all that sort of thing. This guy is a king of debuffs, ladies and gentlemen. He's able to put decreased speed down on his A1, he's able to put decreased defense and decreased attack on his A2, and his passive over here can increase the accuracy of your allies when they fail to land debuffs. That alone makes him a stupendously useful unit, as it increases your survivability in all of those long slog battles. After that, ladies and gentlemen, we will be getting our next epic character at level 20, and that is going to be Ugo. This guy is going to be your bread and butter of survival, okay? He is able to, when he is the last unit left on the field and all of his allies have perished, he's going to get an increased speed buff as well as a block damage buff. And essentially what this does is it lets him use his A3, and if he uses this A3 over here when all his allies are dead, he can't take damage at that point unless he has his buff stripped. He's going to revive them all with 50% hit points and give them 50% turn meter as well. He also has an AoE attack over here that can place decreased defense and block buffs, which is really useful. And he can place leech on enemies with his basic. Those things combined makes for an increase in survivability that is very valuable. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, when you hit level 30, you'll be getting yourself another epic attack unit over here in Farrakhan the Fat. This guy is dope at placing things like HP burn on the enemy, as well as some additional poisons. Very useful for all the chunky bosses that you're going to be going up against, and he will pair rather nicely as well with the promo code unit that I'm about to tell you about. If you enter in the promo code Super Victory over here, you will be granted, it won't work on my account because it has to be done in the first 48 hours of playing, you will be granted this legendary unit over here, which is Pelops the Victor. Pelops is a phenomenal legendary hit point champion over here. He is able to place out things like HP burn, he's able to place out taunts, he can petrify, he can decrease attack. Really strong unit, very useful in many of the dungeons, able to clear through all of the campaign as well as beating things like Spider 25 with his help. Absolutely love Pelops the Victor, highly recommend you guys use him. So, let's get on to the topic at hand today, ladies and gentlemen. As you know, in the last two videos we've covered in Raid, we talked about Ozilda coming to the game, a new legendary character, as well as Dorothy Gale. Check out those videos if you haven't seen them already. These characters are forming part of what is going to be the Echoes of Oz event, and we've had another one revealed just yesterday. That is right, we are getting a mixed fusion event for the Cowardly Lion, and that is starting on August 19th. That is just next week, ladies and gentlemen. 5 very short days away. So on Wednesday, August 19th, we are planning to launch a mixed fusion event for the new Echoes of Oz champion, the Cowardly Lion. He is for the Skinwalkers faction, legendary of course, defensive type, and his affinity is magic. The Cowardly Lion is a fearless damage dealer who makes his opponents the ones trembling in fear, which is funny because he was very fearful. Excelling in both PvP and PvE, he supports his team with the reflect damage and counter attacks. Fear and True Fear debuffs are no match for him because he's already afraid. Every attempt to land these debuffs only emboldens the Cowardly Lion, allowing him to reset his cooldowns and take an extra turn to punish his opponents. Sounds like he's going to actually counter Ozilda there. There is nothing cowardly about this lion except for his name, and even less that can stop him. Alright, so let's take a look at his actual kit. I've not had the chance to read this just yet. Okay, so as we said, legendary defensive unit, Skinwalkers over here, Cowardly Lion coming up. He's probably going to count as one of those Oz units for Dorothy Gale, giving her those additional benefits on her second special, I want to say A3. Okay, so Leonine Pounce is his A1, attacks one enemy 3 times. I like that already, 3 times is useful for things like Fire Knight. Damage inflicted by this skill increases by 10% for each skill successfully activated by allies and enemies under fear or true fear debuffs, stacks up to 100%. Each hit steals 5% of the target's turn meter. Cool. So you can do up to double damage. You can steal up to, 15% turn meter, which is nice. And the booking over here just increases damage. Not particularly valuable in the book sense for this ability, but hey, we'll take it. Next up, A2 is Primal Roar. I thought it said Primordial there for a second. Primal Roar, cooldown of 4, attacks all enemies before attacking, places a 60% increased defense buff and a fervor buff on all allies for 2 turns. I like that already. That seems pretty strong. Increased defense and fervor on all allies for 2 turns is not bad. Ignores 20% of the target's defense. That's always good for an attacking for an attack. Has a 75% chance of placing True Fear debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. When you book this up, that 75% chance is going to be a 100% chance, and the cooldown is going to go to 3. All of a sudden, it's starting to look pretty good. An AoE that places increased defense as well as fervor on all allies, ignores defense, and can place True Fear debuff on all enemies, which is then going to buff up the basic. It's pretty good. A3 then, Strength in the Pack, a cooldown of 5, places counterattack buff and 30% reflect damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. An AoE counterattack for 2 turns as well as 30% reflect damage. I like this. Also has a passive effect. Whilst under these buffs from this champion, allies will ignore shield and strengthen buffs when counterattacking. They also ignore shield buffs when reflecting damage, and you can get the cooldown to 3 with books. Cowardly Lion is looking good. He is actually looking pretty dope. He also has a passive, cooldown of 4, active effect. Whenever a fear or true fear is placed on this champion, removes all debuffs from this champion, resets all cooldowns, and activates an instant turn effect on this champion. That's quite nice. So you can, basically you can say, okay, well, we're just going to ignore fear and true fear. We're going to cleanse that, take an immediate bonus turn, have all your cooldowns reset. That's very nice. That's very nice. Okay, passive effect. Whenever this champion is under fear or true fear debuffs, their skills always activate. Nice. Increase the chance of enemy skills not activating when they're under fear or true fear debuff by 15%. If there are multiple champions with a skill, only activates once. Yeah, okay, so by the looks of things, this guy is going to be very, very useful. Like, this is my sort of my first initial impressions. We're obviously going to see additional units. I mean, one can imagine who else is going to be joining a Wizard of Oz team. Obviously, you've got Dorothy. Obviously, now we have the Cowardly Lion. We know Azilda is coming to the game as well. One can assume things like probably the Tin Man, right? The Scarecrow. I imagine these guys are probably going to come to the game. We've all seen and heard of the story of Wizard of Oz. So I feel like this is just going to be stepping stone to stepping stone to stepping stone in terms of overall viability of this team. Now, I'm not sure what this mixed fusion event is really going to entail. So going over to Hell Hades' website over here, traditional fusions is kind of like what we just had with Khmer, was it? Fragment Champions is what we had not too long ago with Masahiro, I want to say. Oh no, it wasn't. Khmer was a fragment fusion. It was the one before that, wasn't it? Hagaba. Hagaba the Nest Maid was a traditional fusion. Fragment Champion was Khmer, and Hybrid is a mix of the above two methods, usually consisting of fragments to collect the epic champions before fusing them into legendary fusion champions. So we're going to be having some rather large events in order to get this guy. He's probably going to be difficult to obtain, is what I would imagine. So if you are in a pretty good, decent position, have a good amount of sacreds to break break down in upcoming summoning events. If you have a good healthy amount of crystals to refresh your energy in order to get all the events done, then he feels like a unit that is going to be very useful to have in pretty much any account. We do know that Dorothy Gale is just the standard 7-day logging character, so she's going to be really easy to unlock as well. Just playing the game organically whilst working on getting the Cowardly Lion will make things very, very easy for you, and who knows how we're going to end up getting the final other units that come to this Oz faction. I can only imagine it's going to be Scarecrow and Tin Man, of course. Hopefully people at home will be in a position in order to get them relatively easily. I've got about 5,000 currency and I'm saving up some energy at the moment. I don't know if I'm really going to be in a position to do it, but I'm certainly going to try my best. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, when we find out just a little bit more, I will do my utmost to pass on the information in as expedient a manner as possible. But until that time, please do like the video, leave me a comment down below to say if you are going to be pushing for the Oz faction and the Cowardly Lion in particular, and I'll see you all in the very next video. Peace out and big love.